One, two, three, One, two, three. The Bear Trap Podcast. Here we like to talk about music, news, and entertainment. But most importantly,
What's up?
we like to
How's
talk
everybody
about life. So
doing?
get yourself ready,
Thank
let's
you
talk
for tuning
about
in
it.
to the Bear Trap
Let's
Podcast.
talk
I am your
about
host,
it.
Bear, and we're going to get into it, man. I want to thank everybody for pulling up one more again for another show. It's been beautiful. You know what I mean? The shows have been rolling. It's just been rolling. Trying to keep it going, keep everything, positive and moving in the right direction. And, keep it funky. You know what I'm saying? I'm stuck behind this desk. I'm working on a few new sets. This set was cool. It worked out. It's working out for me. But I am working on some new sets. I'm gonna get some new stuff going on. Whenever that time is, it'll be. I'm just really trying to focus on the content, man. Focus on what I'm saying. Focus on, the stuff I'm bringing to y'all. You know what I'm saying? The stuff we talking about. And man, hopefully this information and this stuff has been helping y'all because it's been helping me, man. Um, I definitely don't really want to come off as somebody that knows everything because I definitely do not. Um, but it's a lot of these concepts and these precepts are reminding me of a whole lot of stuff, that I don't practice. When you learn and you refresh, as you go over topics and things like that. Like everybody can do algebra, but until you get back into it and start doing a few problems, that's when you actually can say, yes, I can do algebra, you know. But it's one of those things when it comes to all of these different concepts and stuff, I'm hitting on. But I was scrolling like I always do, and I came across a video that was with a guy named Jim Rohn or Jim Rohn. He's a motivational speaker. A lot of these motivational speakers, they take information from him and they repackage it and do it. But he's one of the OG motivational speakers, and he was expounding on something in the video that was very, very helpful to me this morning. And I said, man, I'm gonna have to share that with y'all. Like, I'm gonna really have to get into that because a lot of the questions they kind of hit home. A lot of the things he was saying was like it was sticking me, like bing, 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 boom, 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 boom. Kendrick Lamar. You feel me? It was hit me on my dome. And I said, man, I'm gonna get into it. So definitely forgive me if I don't totally elaborate to the maximum degree as far as this. Search him up. His name is Jim Rohn. He's definitely easy to find, if you would like to verify any of this information or go further into it. But he said, I'm paraphrasing, he said, in my mind, this is how I heard it. He said, your why has to be bigger and stronger than your how. All right. Very simple. And you're like, why are you doing something? The why. Why are we doing this podcast? Why are we doing music? Why are we going to work every day? And your why makes it so that the how doesn't matter so much, right? And I just meditated on it all day. I seen the video this morning. I just meditated on it, all day and just was thinking about that. Like, wow. Like, because when you know that your kids got to eat or these bills got to get paid or people are depending on you, the how don't even matter. Like you ain't worried about how, because your why is so strong, it's so motivating. And so like, in one of the main key, the very first point in this thought process was finding a why. Find out why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Like really a deep why, not just a regular why. Oh, I gotta pay bills. That's why. No, a deep why. Like if you say, "Oh, I gotta pay bills," a deeper why, like meaning like you want to, like if you say, "Hey, I gotta pay bills," that's a why. But a deeper why would be because I want to be able to take care of my kids better. That's why I go to work. Or because I have standards and integrity as far as the way that I want to live. That's why I go to work. Like, see, it's a, it's layers. You go further. If you go deeper, you get more. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my little analogy, just so you can understand, like that it's not just a topical catchphrase. It's not just something people are saying, but it's definitely something that has to be addressed at some point. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it's very, very important to know your why and to have your why in, like, fairly well mapped out. You know what I'm saying? So once you get that mapped out, and then the how becomes a whole lot easier. It becomes a whole lot easier because you don't care how. You know, you really don't care how. Like, you're gonna get it done. There's a small caveat in the middle, of you don't care how you get it done. Um, that small caveat. I'm trying to use these big words, y'all. Forgive me. The small caveat is has to do with faith. You know, it has to do with. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. I'm looking at my notes just to make sure that I bust this down correctly because it's very important. Um, not just in faith, but before you even get to faith and belief and all that, let's step back because I stepped in front of myself a little bit. Sometimes there's always distraction. So I'm like boots on the ground with the whole thought process, right? There's always chances to link up with homies. There's always chances to do this and do that. There's always other opportunities. There's always different avenues, paths to go down, and it's unlimited. And so you will get there. But one thing that I've noticed is that I have to keep my mind clear enough to focus on what I'm doing, right? Because I want to do what it is that I set out to do. And it has nothing to do with anybody, no shade to anybody, no shade, because there's a lot of opportunities and things that I could get into right now with different people, but their why may be different from my why, right? They may be going into business to make some money. I may be going into business to give away money. Our whys aren't lining up. And it's a few different angles that you could take it. Like, my why could be just to enrich myself and grow and get better at what I'm doing. Their why could be to blow up and to be on TV. I don't know. That has and I'm not judging either way, shape, or form, but when you're on your way going somewhere, it's easy to take a side street. It's easy to take something that looks like a shortcut. It's easier to do it together. It's always advisable. If you want to go, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with some people. And that's true. But at the same time, before you get with some people, you got to have your own mind and direction and a clear vision about where you're going. You know what I'm saying? Before you get with a whole bunch of people or start doing a whole bunch of stuff and you ain't got no direction, and then all of a sudden you ain't made it nowhere, and it's nobody's fault. So I gotta definitely keep that in mind. We gotta definitely keep that in mind prior to even getting to belief. Right now, I'm breaking it down. I'm separating them so that we can get a good grasp on it. This is what I did for myself. I'm leaving out a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm just, this is how my mind works. This is how my brain works. And, That's why I wanted to make this a topic, because it was hitting hard for me. Okay. And then now we're going to the next part of this is belief. We're back. We're fine. We finally made it. We finally made it to belief, right? This is after the why has been figured out. This is after we already found out that the how don't even matter, right? And I'm gonna stop there for a second. Once again, when we're really trying to do something and get something done, we're not picky, about how we get it done. Like, if you got to dump garbage, if you gotta get up at 4 a.m., if you got to deal with somebody you don't want to deal with, or if you got to deal with some problems or some things that you got to deal with, we're not picky. We don't care. Like you will get to a place where you do not care, right? You're just trying to get to your goal and get to what you're trying to do. You got to want it that much that you're willing to walk through these different obstacles and distractions to get to your goal. It becomes that serious, right? At some point, you're going to get fed up and you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to drink this beet juice. This stuff nasty, but I want my health to be better. Or I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym because I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be, all messed up when I get older. At some point, the pain going to get to a point to where you're going to stop eating all them hamburgers and nonsense. Hands up. And all that nonsense, and start eating healthy things because you want to have a long, healthy life at some point. You know what I'm saying? At some point, but we have to be honest with ourselves in this process, right? So then you get down to belief. Somewhere in the Bible it says faith without works is dead. That's what the Bible says. I ain't no Bible thumper, but to all my Christians out there, it's like, okay, belief. There's a difference between believing what you can do and what you can achieve and what your life could be. There's a difference between believing and knowing, right? One of the activating factors is action, actually doing. Like, you don't even, action kind of negates everything. It negates belief. It negates knowing. Action is that powerful, right? Because you learn so much from actually doing it, to where it will strengthen your belief. It'll strengthen your faith because you're actually doing it, right? So I just want to break down. That's just my opinion, right? No shade, just my point of view. Please drop in the comments, y'all insights and the things that you as I'm speaking, you know what I mean? If you got to stop it, stop it. Think about what I'm saying, think about it for yourself. You know what I mean? Tell me something I don't know. You know what I mean? Put something in there. You know what I mean? Drop something in the comments and let me know. This is a perfect time to say, if you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. It helps out the channel very, very much. I'm a new channel, so all my twos and views count. You know what I mean? Definitely not doing this trying to get rich or something like that. I'm just following up on one of my dreams, one of my goals, which was to have a podcast. And I'm learning by doing it. And it's it's enriching me as far as my faith, as far as my belief, because I'm actually doing it. So this is one analogy that you could take. And and then there comes another piece, the discipline to see it through, to trust the process. Like my Cuddy Ooze say, Ooze always tell me, that's my, my partner, you say, trust the process, trust the process. And there's another part to that I added, and it will be, I'm developing a t-shirt line. Hopefully I ain't talking too fast. I ain't giving y'all too much information, but we trust the process and we doubt failure, right? Trust the process, doubt the failure. What do you mean doubt the failure? The failure was real, but it's never a failure when you're trying to do something and you're learning. So it's always a win. There are no L's. There's just lessons. You bring a cliche phrase back in. It's just lessons. We're just learning. We don't lose. You know what I'm saying? You lose when you give up. There is a L there. When you give up. Even when you give up, you can still restart. So there's never really a loss. You know what I'm saying? We just keep on going and keep on learning. You know, keep going, keep growing. My boy CJ say that all the time, man. Keep going, man. Keep growing. He say that all the time. And yeah, so the discipline, the vision, the foresight to see out far. My last video was about planning. How well can you plan? That's seeing out far. Having faith and having the discipline, to walk it out. Like walk it out. And it, things that are of importance, it take time. It take discipline for you to walk that thing out. Like it ain't gonna just come straight to you. You gotta walk out to it. You gotta step over obstacles. You gotta duck and dodge, bullets being shot at you. Cause soon as you make your mind up that you finna do something, here come all of the obstacles. Here come all of the nonsense. Here come everything that wasn't even bothering you before, right? So, it's important and it's time efficient for you to not be naive in that way, to think that you was just going to just ice skate through everything. And because I got my mind together, I'm going to do what it is that I want to do. So you're just going to ice skate through. No, sirree, Bob. They throw a monkey wrench in your plan every time, So I got to a point, I had so many monkey wrenches thrown in my plan. I got to a point to where I felt stupid. Like, hey, bro, you thought you was just going to walk through the jungle and not get bit by a mosquito, not get scathed, nothing? Come on, man. You gotta expect a certain amount of trying. Expect a certain amount. If you live in Stockton, you probably been tried a few times. You gotta expect some of this. Like, oh man, they rolled up on me and said this and that and the third, and it was like, look where you at, look where you live at. Like, not to say that the city is terrible or anything like that. But things happen in these different, environments. You know what I'm saying? All of the whole city ain't like that. So let me not even put any energy in that way. This is a beautiful city. It got some great people in it, but things happen in the city, and it could happen anywhere. You could be in a nice neighborhood and get rolled up on in some way, shape, or form. It don't have to be a gangster. It could be somebody else just trying to give you a hard time or get in your way. That's the same version as rolled up on, right? It could be, somebody acting a certain way in one of these businesses. I'm just keeping it general. It don't have to be a gangster. It could be, if somebody's getting in your way, it's like it don't even matter. But anyways, the why versus the how, summing all of this up to try not to be extremely long-winded. It's like the sum of the video, the sum up was, why not you and why not now? Why not you? That's a question I ask myself all the time. Like, I wouldn't have achieved and got where I've made it to so far if I didn't really continue to ask myself that question and continue to reaffirm myself, like, why not me? And then you're like, okay, well, if I'm in charge of choosing, I'm gonna choose me. Why not me? I want the best for everybody else, but I also want the best for myself, right? Why not me? Okay, why not me? I'm in charge of choosing. I'm gonna choose me, and I'm gonna choose all y'all too. If y'all want that for yourself, that's y'all prerogative. If you don't want it, but I'm gonna choose me, right? as I should. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I feel like I should have this or I should be able to do that. That's me creating my life and choosing my decisions and living them through, paying the toll of my choice and my decision happily. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why not me? And then it's like, okay, since you have the power to choose it being you, right? How do you want it? How do you want it? Who told you no? Yeah, that voice in your brain did tell you no. It told you you can't do it. It told you a whole bunch of stuff, but you still in control of that. You don't got to listen to that, right? How do you want it? And it will come to pass because you set it in place, or you definitely doing the work to get it. It don't matter what it is. Why not me? And how do I want it? I want it like this. Period. Yes, manifesting. Yes, faith. Yes, discipline. You know what I mean? Yes, you will have opposition. Yes, it won't look the way you think it should look. But as long as your mind is set on you know what I mean? On what you want and how you want it, work for it. It is guaranteed. How about that? Take it even further. I guarantee I will have X, Y, and Z. And if you don't get it, it'll be because you changed your mind, or it'll be because maybe it was humanly impossible. Those are the only two things that'll stop you. Nothing. Some people are so far in their determination and their faith and belief that nothing can stop them to get toward their goal, right? Like, nothing could stop them. Like, they could get hurt, they could get beat up, they can get knocked down, dragged out, lose everything, and they're going to still continue on toward their goal. For sure. There is no questions there. Yes, I will continue on because I'm going to continue until I get to where I'm going. I've been also learning that it's not really about the destination. It's about the journey too. Keep your mind on the journey, because that's where you learn. You know, that's where you get to see the sights and learn the lessons and meet people and learn about yourself. It's during the journey. It ain't at the location. It's definitely during the journey is where the whole enrichment takes place. And that's what it's all about, enrichment. It ain't about getting a whole bunch of money or having a lot of accolades and stuff like that. It's about, what you learn in the process. And if you skip any part of the process, it will show up at the end. There is no shortcuts. There is no, let me slide through. Like, there is none of that. You really got to really, be 10 toes for the whole way. You can't, okay, I'm going to tap back in later. I'm going to wait a little while till the coast is clear. No, imagine the people that stayed outside when you went in when it started raining. Imagine how much more grit they have when another storm comes, because the storms keep coming. Imagine how much more grit they got because they stood 10 toes. Imagine that. Like, and you didn't pony up. You know what I mean? You didn't come up to you didn't stay out there so you can get beat up a little bit, so you can be able to be stronger for the next storm. Like, every time a storm comes, you got to duck, and you ain't making no progress. Your roots ain't getting stronger. Like, every time the wind blow, a tree roots get stronger every time a storm comes, because it digs in deeper. It digs in deeper, and it may sway, but it ain't being uprooted. And then roots get stronger and stronger. They go deeper and deeper and deeper. And the deeper you go, the higher you go. Period. You can call it, you can put the analogy on trees, you can put it on yourself. Truth is universal. The deeper you dig, the higher you go. Period. Like, I was getting kind of deep into this little thought and process, and just going through it. And it really has spoke to me. It really spoke to me. And I'll continue, just to dig deep into this stuff, man. So that, like, even just bringing y'all these shows and stuff like that weekly, or however, my schedule, allows, it's causing me to have to dedicate to the process. Like, dedicate, walk it out. You know what I mean? Keep the equipment set up. You know what I mean? So I can get off work, because I do have a life. I do got kids. I got other things going on. I'm working on an album. Hint, hint, hint. I got shows coming into place. You know what I mean? I got birthday party. I got all kind of stuff going on. But this is something that I set out to do. And, this is my first season. So I don't even know how many episodes I'm going to do for this season. I might do 20. I might do, take a break, reformat. But, I'm already 5 in. So this is the 6th episode, if I'm not mistaken. And they going fast, man. They going fast. And so, I appreciate y'all just for sitting down and hearing this. If you did, even if you just listen to the audio, you know what I'm saying, or however you guys, take in content, if you're on the treadmill when you go to work, it's a soft 25, 30 minutes. Put it on and just, think about yourself. Like, get something out of this. Don't sit here and watch it, or halfway watch it. Like, don't, you know what I mean? I was going to say don't watch it, but watch it. But, get something out of it. I'm not sitting in front of this camera just to be seen by y'all. Like, you know what I mean? I really want to exchange. I want an exchange between us. Like, talk to me. Like, tell me something that y'all would like to speak about. Would like for me to dig into. That would be enriching for everybody. This is a community. Like, I'm you know what I mean? I'm like bringing y'all to my kitchen table. Like, my mind is my kitchen table. I'm bringing y'all in. I'm letting y'all into what I be thinking about. And that's why I think this is important, and it's very, very special, and it's very intimate. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, I don't be talking to people about a lot of this stuff except my inner circle. And so, I just felt like it was important to, get a platform to where I could share this information, man. And once again, this has been the Bear Trap Podcast. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the support.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The Bear Trap Podcast. Here we like to talk about music, news, and entertainment. But most importantly, we like to talk about life. So get yourself ready, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Get yourself ready, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So get yourself ready.